Driving, proud to be supported by Diamond Bright, protecting, cleaning and caring for the furious fleet and for yours, with 10% off using code FD10. Follow the links in the description below. Hello and welcome to Furious Driving, and once again, for the second time, we're back in the Eunos Roadster, doing a few more bits and bobs to try and get this thing through its MOT, because I think it's now in the position where, having sorted the brakes out at the back, it will pass its MOT, but there were advisories for surface rust visible on the chassis, so we're going to sort that out as well. But before we do that, there's a couple of things. First of all, a couple of people commented on how high the handbrake was pulling after I changed the rear calipers. I didn't realise there's actually an adjuster in the cabin, so we'll look at that very quickly. We might need to go back under the car and tweak up the calipers as well, but we'll look at that and make sure we're all completely set up properly. Secondly, we introduced Mrs. Furious to the channel for the first time in the last video. She took it for a little drive up and down the drive just to see if she liked what she is saying is her new car. So thank you for all the kind comments and nice things people have said welcoming her to the channel. I'm not sure what she's going to be doing on the channel in the future. She's not too keen to be coming out in freezing cold rain like this to lie under a car, but I'm sure we'll find some jobs for her to do at some point. And the other thing which lots of people did comment on and mention was the drains. I know MX5 drains are a real thing to be aware of, because it's a, well, this is a 33, 34-year-old car. The youngest MX5s are 25 years old, and so Mark 1s do have a reputation for rust. This is partly due to the fact that in the Japanese market they don't use salt on the road, so they don't rust-proof them quite as well. But there are drain holes either side of the rear seats in the back parcel shelf, and there are drain holes in the sills, and I will show you where those are today. I'm confident though that the guy I bought the car from, who is an actual mechanic and collects classic cars, will have been looking at this over the years, but I'll just give you a run through of where they are. And the other thing, I know this is not the best weather for be under ceiling cars. Warm weather, dry weather is the thing, but I don't want to destroy it before we even had a chance to enjoy it. Right, let's get underneath the car. I don't want to get underneath the car in this weather. So I did learn one other little lesson about MX5 Eunos life on Saturday night. I didn't close the driver's door properly, and these little interior lights stayed on all night and absolutely flattened the battery beyond dead. So I now know to make sure I do clonk the doors shut really well. Anyway, that's not the thing. The thing is to take out this little screw just here. Whoops, just one-handed. While holding a camera, it's surprisingly harder than it looks. And inside here, don't drop that down the side of the car, I should be able to peel this cover off the handbrake. Oh, yeah, there we go. It's two pieces, thank goodness, not broken. But down there is an adjuster, big screwdriver. That adjusts off there, releases that, and then we can adjust the handbrake calipers once more. So here we go. Pop that big screwdriver in there, and we can wind it in or out to tighten or loosen the handbrake cable. So turn this a couple of turns here with a big screwdriver, and now, yeah, we've got a shorter travel on the handbrake, and that should now mean we're good to go. But what you can do to do it really properly, remove it completely and get back under the car. And do you remember the setup procedure where we tightened the Allen key very, very tight indeed till the wheel wouldn't turn, then backed it off a touch? We'll do that again. Okay, so easy peasy, wheel off, that little 14mm cover bolt taken out. So you turn this clockwise until it's tightened up to the point the wheel doesn't turn, then back it off about a third of a turn or so, and then that should just start to turn, and that should be where the correct point is for adjusting up. Right, this is all now done as far as this side is concerned, so we can put the wheel back on in a second. Now, I'm not going to paint this rear suspension stuff just yet, even though I did preamble this video before I started filming by actually snow foaming and jet washing all underneath the car a day or so ago now to make sure everything was nice and bone dry. But I've got plans for this area. I need to be doing a few things, so I'm not going to paint this area just yet because I want it to be, well, not sticky under sealy just at the moment. I'll concentrate on the sills for today. Let's get the wheel back on and do the other side. Right, that side is now done as well, so we get back inside the car and adjust up that little thing on the handbrake. So now back inside the warmth of the car, all we have to do is get the big screwdriver and just tighten that down until we get a good feel on the handbrake. There we go. That's tightening up after just a couple of clicks. You know, about sort of 4 or 5 clicks really, and we're there. Now put the cover back on, bada bing, and now we move on to bigger and better things. Now this is the very important thing that all MX5, Miata, Eunos owners need to do fairly regularly. You need to find yourself a big roddy thing. This is actually handbrake cable from Crown Victoria. Use it very handily for doing the rodding through of the drains on the 75 as well. It's long enough to go all the way through the car. So what we do, with the roof up, you look behind this little turret here where the seatbelts mount, and down there, very, very hard to see indeed, is actually a hole. There we go, that is now rodded into the wee hole. Not the wee hole, I mean the small hole. The wee hole is a very different thing entirely. And it's just down there. You can actually put your finger down into it, and you can see in this car it's actually really nice and clear. It should pop out all the way at the bottom. There we go, we can see it's come all the way through the car, nice and clear. Right, so I've actually jacked the car up and put it on ramps because it wouldn't drive up the ramps because these things are rubbish and they never do drive up. First thing I'm trying to do though is find my third light. I've got 3 of these things and I've put one of them down somewhere and I cannot find the thing now, so really would like it back. But what I'm going to do is go underneath here, have a look at what we got in terms of surface rust. Oops. And just get like a hand wire brush on these kind of areas so that I can put some rust neutralising primer which will kill rust and prime it at the same time. This stuff is basically designed for oil rigs, so you can use it in awful conditions, which we are in today. Once I've wire brushed it, I will dry it quickly with a hot air gun, so we're not trapping moisture in there. And you know, there isn't really a lot of exposed metal underneath here, but because of the weather at the moment, I'm not going to go and strip away all of the underseal underneath the car, which is something I do need to do at some point. This is pretty dry up here. With the snow foam and the underbody washing did a good job. Now, I know obviously at this point what I really should be doing is getting out the electric wire wheel and blasting it. Of course, that does always come with the risk that you're going to remove more than just paint, as I found with the 200 VI the day before the NEC. So today I'm just going to go hand tools, and obviously this isn't going to be the best removal of underseal and surface stuff and that kind of thing, but it will see us through till the warmer weather when we A, got the car MOT, so it's mobile, so I can do like indoors in the barn for example, and B, or just generally warmer so that stuff flows on better. Oh, I thought it was a hole, but it's actually meant to be there. It's a deliberate hole. That's what I was worried about doing, creating a hole that wasn't there before. So amazingly, having scraped with a screwdriver and a hand wire brush back at all of this loose underseal, we've actually got really good solid metal. MOT tester was right. I wasn't expecting him to be lying to me, telling me I've got a better car than I had. He's never done that before, to be fair. He is of course the man who condemned the Crown Victoria. But yeah, he did say if I got this rust proofed I wouldn't have to have an advisory for surface corrosion. But what I want to do here is just quickly go over with some rust proofing right now. But what I'm finding is there are big sheets of this old underseal coming off in chunks, and there's surface rust underneath it. So once I've got the MOT ticket in hand, and once the weather is drier, I'll get this thing up in the air. Maybe get this done on a 4-post lift if I can borrow one somewhere, because that would be a lot easier on my back. Yeah, and just do over the entire thing with a wire brush and take the entire chassis back to bare steel to see what we're really looking at. But yeah, so far I'm pretty impressed at the state of this. I shouldn't say that, the other side's going to be horrible, isn't it? Well, I've taken this back as far as I need to for today's purposes. Now this stuff from the same people who make BDX, it's astonishing, because I say it's designed to work in like the Scottish Highlands on... It's designed to work on like, oil rigs out at sea, so you can actually attack metal while it's still getting wet and much salty and horrible, but this will give up proper rust proofing and kill the rust as well as coating it so it won't come back. But I do of course need to come back and do this all properly later on. Where else do I need to go and look under this car? Well, astonishingly, the condition at the back is very much the same as the condition at the front. Just little patches where the underseal has started to flake off, and we've got surface rust creeping underneath the old factory underseal. So I'm just scratching this back as best I can. A bit more over here I'll get. But while I'm down here, this is a good point to show you the drain holes in the sills, which are another really important point in an MX5 or a Mazda Miata or Eunos. And basically they're little gaps in the pinch weld, and they're quite hard to see, but there's about 4 down each side of the car. And you put something like a cable tie just up inside there to make sure it's all clear, and that's up into the sill. Just 4 of these little tiny wee slots in the pinch weld down the length of each side, so 8 in total I believe. And yeah, that's all you need to do to clear the sill drains, and then that will prevent it from collecting water in there and rotting out. Love the D20 stuff. Same batteries on the drill, the impact driver, the tyre pump, everything. I'll just drying this off nice and clear. Right, so while the red anti-rust primer does its thing and dries off underneath the car, I'm going to try and find some holes to put some S50 Dynax into. This is the Built Handler stuff. I buy it directly from their website, builthandler.co.uk I think it is. This is the cavity stuff that goes inside the car so it doesn't rust from the inside out. So I'm going to take off this Roadster sill plate. I think I can probably inject wax through the screw holes. Right, screws are out, and there you go. We've got a load of nice big holes that we can put our wax injection nozzle through. Brilliant. We've used this stuff plenty of times before, and we always just make sure we get the hose as far in as we possibly can and just load it with as much of this stuff as we possibly can, and we'll find out in a minute where all the drain holes are when it starts falling out of the car. Right, I thought it just occurred, the car is on a jack, so all this wax is running to the back of the car. So what I'm going to do is do the floor and the underfloor holes and then drop it flat, and then I can do it properly because there's more wax going to the back now than the front. I'm going to have the most rust-proof drive in the street. Right, the floor is now snow foamed, scratched back any loose areas, rust treated anywhere I found some surface rust, and now I've blacked over literally everything. Just a nice little coating to make it look smart, keep the worst of the weather off, and the summertime comes we can just wire brush the entire lot off and do it really nicely. But for now, that's really good. Now I just need to get it off the ramp so that I can now cavity the other sill. Right, so that is now all rust proofed for the time being. I used pretty much an entire can of Dynax S50 going into all the cavities and the sills and everything in this car. So it's more wax than car now. I've already doubled the weight of the thing. It's overkill with a car that size and a can this big, but you know, considering their reputation, I don't want it to rust. I'm sure there's more places I can find later on that I can cavity up as well too. I've also smothered the bottom of the car with black stuff as well. The only thing I'm concerned about is I still can't find my little LED cob light, which I hope isn't stuck in the suspension somewhere and going to get smashed or lost when I drive up to the garage. I will look under again one more time. Well, we're on our way to the MOT for the retest, and you're looking at my nose because I forgot to bring a camera mount for the windscreen. So we're well within the 10 days. In fact, we're about 3 days in, I think, because you don't include the weekends. I've got to say, the brakes feel so sharp now. I wasn't expecting to feel really any difference between the brakes before and after. Although they passed the initial MOT quite happily, they do feel a lot sharper now with the new calipers on, having rebled them and everything. Hopefully this is just going to be a formality as far as the retest goes, because he just needs to check that the handbrake works now, which I'm pretty confident it does. He's going to glance underneath it, and where he's saying there was an advisory previously for visible corrosion, that doesn't have to be an advisory anymore because there's no longer visible corrosion. There will still be the brake discs showing as lightly pitted because I've basically driven nowhere on them since then, and there will still be the advisory for the front tyres. Sorry, you're looking at the roof of the car now, aren't you? There will still be the advisory for the front tyres being low on tread, but again, I'm going to look at new wheels for this thing, so I'm not going to waste money on better tyres for wheels that aren't going to be here very long. Right, wish me luck. Well, it's Good news, we've got ourselves an MOT pass on the Eunos Roadster, and as predicted, the only advisories are for the front tyres, which we knew are getting worn, but they're going to be going soon anyway, and the brake discs being worn or pitted, but we're going to drive the car a bit and then that will solve that. Fabulous news. I like a clean pass. The little MX5 is good to go. We can start moving it around, driving it and enjoying it, and the first thing we're going to do is give it a massive wash and polish, get all the good Diamond Bright stuff out and make this thing absolutely sparkle inside and out. Then on the list is obviously a bit of mechanical service. We're going to change the oil in the engine, the gearbox, the differential, all that kind of stuff, make sure it's nice and fresh and new, which is all good. And then obviously we want to start making it our own. I've already got some stuff in the post at the moment, so I'm looking forward to having a box of delights ready for a video in a couple of days time, so we can get this thing over to the barn for the polishing and for the fixing, which is great. I'm now looking forward very much to be driving and enjoying the MX5, sorry, the Eunos Roadster. You know, this car. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this content, please hit like and subscribe, and join us again next time. Well, I'll say something completely different. It's going to be pretty similar, fiddling around with this car some more. But, you know, subscribe. Thank you. Goodbye.